Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We're back to another video, and again we have Dr. Praise, Doctor in the making.
Always add that in the making, please.
As I always add in the making. Well, we have Praise here with us again. So if you haven't watched our previous videos, go do so. Those videos are packed with information. If you're looking to go into the medical field, nursing, becoming a doctor, those videos are going to help you. So make sure to pause this video, go back and watch those ones if you haven't, and then come back to this one. Yeah, make sure you come back to this one. All right, before we go on, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video, share with your friends and family, give this video a thumbs up, just all of the shenanigans, and also hit the notification bell. Thank you very much. All right, Praise. So previously we talked about, challenges of being an international student, how you got into medical school. Now that you're in medical school, can you tell us, what the whole cost has been like, if you're comfortable with? So what's the cost of what is the cost of pursuing a medical degree, if that's correct?
Yeah.
In America here.
Well, I would say in the US, there's a range. So it depends on what state you're in,
Okay.
and what school you apply to. I always start from Texas because that's where we are. But that's not where I go to school. But in Texas, it's actually relatively cheaper than other states. Like I know Texas, don't quote me on this, but I would say Texas runs like maybe from like 20-something thousand to about 40-something thousand or 50-something per year, depending on if you're like in state or out of state or international. But some schools just have a flat fee, like that's the fee, and everybody, whether international or not, pays the same thing. But Texas is a lot cheaper compared to other schools. When I was applying, I had like a whole spreadsheet of like the schools, the states, and the costs. So like when you start going to like California, like because I thought I was all that, I also applied to Stanford, and Stanford is $115,000 per year.
What?
I was hoping I would get a scholarship because I know very well that I can't do that. Like my parents, I'm not the only child. But it's a range. I would say average would be like 75,000. 75,000 would be a good average. There's also like 80,000. So I would say 70 to 80,000 per year is tuition.
But you said in Texas it's 20,000 to 50,000 per year.
Yeah, so that's why I said it depends on the state. Texas is the only one that's like that
that's in
low,
that range.
that low.
Okay.
Some other states might be lower if you're a resident. So if you're a resident of a different state, I would say check your own state because it might be lower for residents than for non-residents. But it really depends on the school. Some schools they take into account like residents, non-residents. Some schools don't. So I'm just going off of like a general overview that I found when I was applying. It might have changed now because that was in 2018. Yeah. So.
Okay. So these numbers keep changing, so you have to always be on the website checking and whatnot. Wow, 115,000 for medical school. Nah, if I'm not getting that money back,
that's per year. That is not for the whole thing. Times 4. If you choose to be dramatic and do like a master's degree while in med school, times 5. So yeah.
Cannot believe. Do you have any tips for people who want to go into medical school, students who are looking to go into medical school and want to apply, and do you have any tips for people to improve their chances of getting into med school?
I would say focus on schoolwork. It's not everything. Everybody says that. It's definitely not everything, but it gets your foot in the door. Like if you believe it or not, like most of these schools, like in the application system, they literally have cutoff points. Everybody's gonna tell you they don't. They do. That's the honest to God truth. So like if you apply and your GPA is a certain point, like literally when you apply, the computer is literally going to sort it out by GPA, sort it out by MCAS score, like sort it out by like numbers. Numbers are what like remove you from the rest. It goes both ways, but I would say to get your foot in the door, if you can, get your GPA as high as you possibly can, especially the science GPA. This is specifically if you're not like a science student. But if you're not a science student, so if you're doing like music, anything else, psychology, anything else, but just taking the prerequisites, try your best to keep those grades as high as you can, so that like when they average your science GPA of just like the biochem, the physics, the chemistries, all of that, it would be really high. So that would be like a good cutoff. So that'd be a good place to start. And then with the MCAT, as best you can, get your score up. Don't be lazy. Don't be like me.
It's not gonna be like me.
I already told myself I was not gonna take that exam more than once because it was just torture. But like, that's why I say put in the time to study for the exam. Like if you put in the time to study for it, if you have enough time to prepare, you become like ready for the exam and you score like a good score, hopefully. But if you don't on the first time, it's okay to take it twice. You can take it up to 7 times. You cannot take it more than 7 times in your life. So don't take it like, oh, I can just have a do-over, like I can have a makeup. Like take it like a serious exam every single time. So don't take one. Some training courses tell you to just take one as a test. They are practice tests for that purpose. You don't have to pay money for a whole exam to do it as a test. You can do that for free or like as part of your learning course. So I would say practice and prepare for the MCAT properly. Take the exam. If you don't do well, you can take it again. But like a high score on the MCAT is really, apart from GPA, if your GPA is like okay and you get a high MCAT score, that's a very good combination because MCAT score will get you in places that your GPA cannot. So like try your best, and it goes the same way for like GPAs. But I noticed more that like MCAT score seems to be like a higher predictor of like if I get an interview or something. So I would say as best you can try to get that score up. I have friends who like took MCAT the first time, they didn't like their score, they didn't get any interviews, and then they studied and took MCAT again the next year, got a better score, got so many more interviews. So I would say those two are really key for like numbers. Now if you're going to like soft points, so that's why I said those numbers get you in the door. Now when you're in the room, then they're going to be asking you questions. What's your experience? Like, what did you do? How are you showing commitment to medicine? How are you showing commitment to the community? Like, you have to show that, like, you're not just a smart person that's trying to get a medical degree. You have enough of that, and to be honest, they suck because they don't have good personality. Like, when you volunteer, it shows that, like, you can do things without expecting return, because volunteering is literally I give up my time or resources without expecting anything back. So there's that. There's also shadowing. It's so key. It's sad how it's key, but also like with COVID right now, I don't know how easy it would be to shadow a doctor because we don't want to have unnecessary people in hospitals being exposed or exposing others. But still, they're still gonna ask you for shadowing experience, believe it or not. And the reason is because it gives you the real view of medicine. Like, you cannot go into a medical school interview and BS about medical experience. Like, these people are doctors, they've been for years. So you can't even, like, they were in your shoes. I'm sure they tried to BS once, so they already know all these things. If you try to make up stuff that's not true, and check your facts, guys. There's nothing worse than like going to medical. Let's say you saw a craniotomy and you want to talk about it, but you didn't look up the procedure, and you start talking, and they ask you, okay, so what happened during your procedure? And then you start talking about a mastectomy, which is like removing the breast. They're gonna know that you just picked a name, that you probably went to the hospital, the surgeon was doing a craniotomy, you just wrote it down, you didn't know what it was about, because craniotomy has to do with the brain. So you need to check your facts and make sure you don't go there and look a fool, because that's what you literally look like if you don't check your facts. And I would say, as safely as you can, milk your experiences. Like I said, it might not be easy for you to get experiences, but the ones you get, do everything you can do to grab as much information as you can from there, because that might be all you get. Like for me, I know like when I went back to Nigeria for one summer, I worked / interned in a clinic, and that was pretty much like the most hands-on. I mean, and then I went to nursing school, so I had all of nursing school. But like if I didn't do that internship, I don't think I would have had another opportunity if I was not in nursing school. Like nursing allowed me to literally take care of patients myself. But if I did not have nursing as my undergrad, that experience would have been the only one I had. And even though I had nursing experience, I still milked that other experience a lot, because that's when I got to see like the flow. Like nursing is kind of different. So like that's where I got to see the flow of like what the doctor actually does, how they interact with patients, how they take notes and all of that, depending on the kind of doctor you shadow. So I say shadowing is key, volunteering is key. They also ask about leadership opportunities. Don't lie. If you start lying from your application, you're going to continue lying all through med school, and it's an ethical profession. This is not one you want to go into with fudging up your resume, it will come back to bite you in the butt, and you don't want to start something you cannot finish. So like the ones you might not be perfect at everything. Like, to be honest, for me, I didn't have a lot of leadership opportunities, to be very honest. I probably had like at the most 2, but like I made that up with extracurriculars. So like I said in a different video, like I joined a lot of like medical associations, and the reason is because I can keep up with those. I don't like associations generally, but like I can keep up with those ones because I'm interested in what they're doing. Like if I'm going to join, I don't care about baseball. If I go and join an association about baseball just to put that I have an extracurricular, I'm going to look dumb because I don't care about that. But like I was in a Black Health Professionals organization, which I was giving to and was giving back to me. Like I was in the Nursing Students Association, which I was giving to and was giving back to me. Like I was in the African Students Association. So like you join things that you're invested in so that like you can talk about. You don't have to be on the e-board of these associations. You can just be a normal member, but you can be very active. Like that's what I typically do. Like I would join like maybe subcommittees if I had the time, or if they needed volunteers for something, I would sign up. But I was active, and I feel like that's also something that you can do to boost up your application. Oh, your personal statement, yo.
Ooh, that's a big one.
That personal statement, I would say start early.
Okay.
Start early because like you need multiple revisions. Don't think you are like you can write the best. You cannot, like you cannot on your own. I mean, you might be great, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't hurt to have an extra set of eyes look over it. Like for me, I started writing my personal application before I wrote MCAT, if I'm not mistaken. Like the same day, I think the applications opened like May 1st, if I'm not mistaken. But don't quote me on that, maybe June 1st, but either May or June 1st. But I started writing it like before I wrote MCAT. And I didn't write
like
anything.
a year ago, mind you.
No, that was not. No, that was like a month before I wrote MCAT. So
I mean MCAT. You wrote an MCAT like a year before grad school. I mean med school.
Yeah, definitely. Because like you can't wait.
Yeah.
Like the primaries close at a certain time and the secondary starts. So there's a whole year, but that whole year is not for primary application. Like that year is for all the steps. So there's primary, secondary, interviews, and then you get accepted or not. So that like personal statement is one of the most important things you're going to have to write, and it's extremely long. So for me, like I would just start with literally forcing myself. I would just sit down at the computer, blank screen, and like I just think of random words. I just write down the words. Like you just have to start, because if you don't start, you keep telling yourself, oh, it's too long, or it's too long. Or if you prefer to write by hand, like sometimes I also just like brainstorm and write by hand. Like I would just think they'll give you a prompt, and then it's a very general prompt, like probably I don't know. Why medicine?
Yeah, why
like,
medicine? Something like
what makes you who you are today, and all this kind of
that makes you a good candidate for.
So I just think about like major events in my life, and I would just write major points on that, and I kept that. Also, something else just came to my mind while I was talking. Most universities, if not all, have pre-med advisors. Now, not every pre-med advisor is a good one, because there are some that will just see you and tell you that you're not made for medicine, period. Like some are gonna tell you don't bother because you're not gonna make it. Factually, they might be right, but that's up to you and if you believe in God. Me, I believe in God. I said that's between me and God. That's not for any human being to decide. So you need to be careful, like with taking their advice. A lot of them are good because they'll tell you, like they'll lead you to all these resources. Because for me, like I went to them in my sophomore year. I went very early, and the reason is because if I started trying to find out about like the process for med school in my third year, it would have been too late. Like you have to plan. I had to plan accordingly because I was in a very like difficult undergrad major. I had to literally get special permissions to be able to take my prerequisites at the time I took them, because normally you're not even allowed to take any other classes that are not pertaining to nursing. So I had to involve like the pre-health office very early, and they were able to show me like, okay, this is what your nursing classes look like till you graduate. What do you think about this semester? This is where you can add a biochem. This is where you can add a physics. Maybe you can do this in the summer. Like they helped me arrange that. They helped me arrange like, okay, when are you planning? When do you graduate? I graduate in December. Okay, for that reason, you will not obviously be able to take MCAT and start in August of the same year because you graduate in December. So therefore, plan as if you're taking a full gap year, but you actually planning to start in August of the next year. So they helped me like figure out all the kinks. they also hosted like med school fairs. So that's actually how I knew of St. George's the first time, because SGU actually came to my school to present. But I met a lot of other med students. Like it also opens doors for you to meet people, to meet doctors. I learned about a ton of different schools and different opportunities. So utilize that resource, because that's literally their job. Something I tell people all the time in school is that the people that are paid to work for you, make them work. Like if they're learning strategists, make them work. If they're pre-med advisors, for God's sake, make them work. Like your tuition is what, well, they don't like to hear this, but your tuition is what is paying them. So like if they're there to help you, use them. That's what I believe. So I used to go to that office a whole lot just to make sure that like I was still on track, like I wasn't like missing something important, because not taking one class at a certain time can throw off your whole schedule, believe it or not. So that's another thing I can say would help with your application, because they will help you. They can also provide people to help you like review your personal statement. Like for me, I went through them. They directed me to like the library. So regular like essay reviewing people in my school helped me. I went somewhere else for the summer. There was a different resource. Like I had like 8 people review my essay, like family members, non-family members, professionals, different people that know me so they can understand the story, and people that are looking for like the grammatical like flow and syntax and everything, just to make sure that like it was a really good one. It's actually one of the essays I'm most proud of in my life, to be very honest.
You really put in your heart and soul.
I really did. I really did. Like I still read it sometimes just to be like, I shall be right. But I think those are like a few things I can think of right now that would really help a student be competitive and improve their application. Like put in your best into the application. Like this is the one chance for these schools to get to know you. I mean, before the secondaries and before an interview. So if you don't put in your best, they're not, intrigue them. Like make yourself stand out. Like have a unique experience. So for me, like I don't know whether that ended up, like I don't know whether I shot myself in the foot with that, but I felt like I would stand out as an international candidate because I had a lot of other experiences that people do not have. Like that internship I did was actually when Ebola started in 2014. So I talked about that a lot because I literally had hands-on experience and I could talk about that, and they don't have a lot of information about that, so they're listening to me. Cause so if you can find things that will make you stand out on your application, that'd be really good too.
But there you have it, guys. Make use of all the resources. Put those people to work. All the people that are paid in your school to work for you, put them to work. Some of them, but then when you now start coming too much, some of them will not start looking at you like, why? But don't mind them. Put them to work.